The Super NES Classic is on its way. It's going to release in the fall. However, Nintendo has done something that may point to their next mini classic console thing. Looks like in the European Union Intellectual Property Office, looks like a trademark or patent has come across for what looks like a Nintendo 64 controller. So the only logical reason really for there being a new Nintendo manufactured Nintendo 64 controller logically would mean that there's going to be a Nintendo 64 Classic edition on the way at some point. Like probably some point,
next year.
Early next year, I would assume. So does that mean it's going to follow the pattern and be $20 more, but you get 4 controllers, but only 10 games? So it'll be $100.
I mean, realistically speaking, there were really only 10 good games on the 64.
I know.
Also a pretty good party console, so I'd be down.
Yeah, although we don't need all 3 of the Mario parties, just one. Just one will do.
Honestly, I would... Yeah, no. Donkey Kong 64 multiplayer, I'd do that again.
My games on it's kind of interesting because with the Nintendo 64, I honestly don't have very many games on it that I would prefer to revisit because I already have those games on other consoles. Like the Zelda games are great. I already own those on other consoles. Super Mario 64, it's a classic. I've got it on DS in a better version. Star Fox 64, that's on 3DS. Super Smash Brothers, I have that on Virtual Console. There's just not much reason for someone like me to revisit the Nintendo 64 era. Here's my concern. The Nintendo 64 controller has one... Okay, it's weird looking, yes. There are other weird looking controllers, and I don't have a problem with its layout. That joystick needs to be updated.
They just don't need to use the controller.
Well, there's actually been redesigns done by other companies that basically take it and turn it into, instead of a 3-prong controller, just a traditional, you only hold it one way controller, made it smaller and much more comfortable to hold. So I would just make a similar design to that because it's just so big. When you have a rumble pack on those things, they're heavy.
It's just awkward.
I remember being a young teenager playing the Nintendo 64 games, and after a while, you'd be holding it, and it would eventually wind up either in your lap or resting on the floor. Just because it was so awkward, and the weight placement was unbalanced as anything. So I would love to see either a redesign or at the very least do something about that joystick, because that joystick, give it a GameCube joystick and you fix it for the most part. That joystick would, especially on games like Smash Brothers, it would just go from doing this to this, and that would be its resting point, and pretty much unusable in a game like Smash or Mario even, or any game, because pretty much every game used that joystick. So what games would you have on it?
Either Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie. I don't know which one's better.
You do know that's not happening, right?
What?
Because Nintendo does not own the rights to that. Microsoft does.
I mean, they can talk to them.
Maybe Microsoft has been.
It started.
Easier
I know that
to
it's
work
on.
with.
You can get the rare
The 30 games, 30 years
Yeah, it's like,
thing.
I guess I could.
Rare remix.
Yeah, I guess that's not going to happen. Well, it also leaves out Donkey Kong 64, I guess.
No, they can do that.
Oh, okay. Donkey Kong 64, because that was a great game. I forget what the name of the Kirby game was.
Crystal Shards.
Yeah. Nintendo has a weird thing with the crystals. They use it a lot. Pokemon Stadium 2.
Pokemon Snap, a game that'll take you a total of 3 to 4 hours to do everything there is.
Probably Majora's Mask, because I've never played Majora's Mask. But I've wanted to.
You like sad, melancholy games, you'd love it.
Yeah. I like feeling depressed.
There's a lot of messed up stuff that happens in that game.
I hear. It's right up my alley. I don't know. It's like, I was gonna say, like, there were definitely some games in the 64 that, like, I loved playing, but there aren't enough to make me want to buy
A classic edition.
yeah, like, one, I hate the controller with, like, there's no fixing it. It's just use another controller. Don't even use this. It's bad. It's just a bad controller.
The GameCube fixed it.
The GameCube controller, in my opinion, is the greatest Nintendo controller they'll ever make. They should honestly just have kept that throughout, like, everything.
Probably.
Yeah. For Nintendo, that's their controller. Xbox, I think the Xbox 360 controller was... I think
their pinnacle.
Yeah. The Xbox One controllers, it's
good.
It's good. It's got a sleek design, but I feel like the 360 was just more like, this is an Xbox controller. PlayStation controllers are just too small for my hands. I can't. That isn't, like, they're not bad. They're not, like, badly shaped. Because, like, I played a PlayStation. I had a PlayStation 2 when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I've grown. My hands are pretty big. So, like, so Xbox controllers, like, they're big. So they fit
You
my
like
hands
extra
nice.
plastic.
Yes. Ugh. I'm American. I need extra on everything, even my shirts. But, like, yeah. Also, I'm not a huge fan of the graphics in that area and genre.
Okay, no. A lot of people who love the Nintendo 64 for some reason, it has classics on it. I'll give you that. And it did have something the PlayStation did not have. It had, was it called, like, texture blending or texture smoothing. It made it so that you didn't see pixelation in the textures on that were being used in the environments and on the characters. Right. So, what do you get as a result? All the games look like they're smeared in mud.
They're just so pointy.
They're pointy. They're, well, I mean, you can kind of get past that. I mean,
certain games, yes. Like Star Fox, I can get past that. Kirby, I can get past that.
But all Nintendo 64 games look the same. All the sprite work looks the same. There's fog in almost every single game that you play on that system. The draw distance was always bad. They just all look the same. With the PlayStation, I would say that the PlayStation was definitely less powerful, but you got more variety of the different kinds of graphical styles on the PlayStation when you compare them. The one thing that the PlayStation had that drove me crazy was the texture warping. But we don't have to get into that.
Because, like, for the Super Nintendo, it's all bit.
yeah, it's all 2D. It does what it does great.
Yeah, it's it's the reason why games like Shovel Knight, Terraria, I know there's more, but I can't think of them right now. But like games like that nowadays, like you can have them, and like people will still
Undertale.
like them. Yeah, Undertale. That's another one. It's like it's a style, and it looks good. You know, you can get some really good pixel art going.
It has aged well, I think
Yes.
is what you're trying to get across.
Yes.
The Nintendo 64 era of games.
You will never see such pointy characters ever because, and in its defense, at the time was amazing. It was great because it was like, hey, remember all those bit games? Bam, 3D models of everything. How you like that? And everyone was just like, "Ooh."
Yeah.
But nowadays, 3D games are the standard.
I'm so glad we have the Ocarina of Time remake on the 3DS. It going back and looking and watching old footage from the N64 version of that game, Link's nose is his deadliest weapon.
It's pretty pointy.
My goodness.
Ganon's nose is pretty pointy.
Whose?
Ganon's.
Yeah, oddly, well, his whole face was like elongated.
It was
It was
an edge.
it was really strange.
The first edge.
But actually, that kind of matched his art for the development art for the game. So kudos, I guess.
Don't make it seem like they did a good thing.
So I guess basically what we're saying is the same thing. There aren't that very many games that we would care to revisit on the system. You wouldn't get it. I probably would. But this would probably be my last one that I would get. Like, who am I kidding? If they made a GameCube
If they
classic,
made a
I'd
GameCube
probably
one,
get that too.
I'd-
I don't see that happening, Matt. I just don't. Sorry, but
They just make it like super portable. It's very tiny, and the handle is still there. You can attach it to a keychain.
that's adorable. But no.
You can walk around with a console in your pocket.
Well, the
Is
NES.
that GameCube, or are you just happy to see me?
Oh gosh, you had to go there. You had to make it awkward.
It's not awkward.
So, do you think it's going to happen?
Probably, because it's whenever I need the words, I forget them. What's the word for it? It's
Inevitability.
no. Like the console. It's
Super Nintendo.
no.
64,
There's a name for it when it's like
console wars.
after a few generations. They're considered
Retro.
retro.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Nintendo 64 has definitely become retro.
It's been retro for a while, but they'll probably do it.
Yeah, I think they will. I'm going to keep saying this every single time we cover it because it never needs to be repeated. You just need to make enough of these things, Nintendo. It's not hard. Just make 5 times the amount you made last time. For the Nintendo 64, they probably don't need that many. For the Super Nintendo, they do.
Oh yeah, no, make it. We don't even need Switches for like a few months. just get this in there.
Well, we already have like shortages of Switches. Like
That's true.
people, like I don't know of anyone who's just like, yeah, I've been waiting to get a hold of a Switch ever since it came out. Like I don't know anyone like
Listen,
that. Do you?
Japan, you guys don't need like plastic plates or spoons or anything like that. Like you guys are wasting plastic on its true potential.
Super Nintendo Classic.
Yes.